Hey, ladies, happy Monday. Oh man, if you are stateside, you probably have the day off. It's like at least a 50-50 shot that you have the day off. So I hope that you are enjoying the day and hopefully you get out and get a little bit of sunshine. Hopefully you're not like me and forgot to put sunblock on your legs and so are super burnt and cannot enjoy the sunshine today. Such a bummer. But hey, from like here up, I'm okay. I wore a hat, I had sunblock, we went to the Russian River, it was totally amazing. And then I forgot my poor little legs. So I'm lotioned up and staying inside for a couple days. But today, ladies, we are still talking about nutrition. I would love for it to be like a, just like a one-liner, and then we would have all the information that we would know. And actually, I'm stretching it out over 6 beautiful weeks. Even that's really not enough. So we're just going to kind of touch on a couple of things that I think are going to be really powerfully important to you. So you guys asked, that's what you asked for overwhelmingly. You said that you wanted to know more about nutrition, which totally makes sense. I get that. I wanted to know so much more about nutrition. I actually went and got my master's in health education, specializing in nutrition because I was just freaking confused. I had done so many diets and tried to follow the direction and just feel good and be healthy. And it's very overwhelming and confusing. So hopefully over the course of these next few weeks, we'll be kind of breaking down little by little what this stuff means, because certainly nutrition is one of my favorite topics. And to do this right, we got to take a little bit of time. So it's going to be about 6 weeks. We're actually on week 2 talking about the forbidden nutrient. But first, I want to remind you, and this is one of the things we talked about last week, and I think I'm going to remind you every single time that we come together, that what is healthy for your body is also good for weight loss. And what is good for weight loss should also be healthy for your whole body. Now, if you don't take your whole system into consideration, you end up inviting things that you don't want in your life experience, things like cravings, mood swings, hunger, binge eating, over exercising, overeating, dis-ease, including diseases, lifestyle diseases, and a dis-ease in the system, and of course, emotional upset. And then you'll never get off that dieting roller coaster. So the truth is that you are more than just a fat cell to shrink. We can really get caught up in that being the focus. And yet that is actually the symptom of a different kind of problem. So if you're feeling stuck in that cycle, I strongly recommend and let me know that you're ready for help. You're worth it. Okay, so until then, until we end up speaking, there are some things that we can clear up about nutrition that will help demystify your health and what's going on with your body, and why some of the dieting information that we're told, and certainly what we were told in the 80s and 90s, is not only inaccurate, but actually ended up causing more harm. So this week, we're going to be talking about the forbidden nutrient. Bum, 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 fat. And the interesting thing about fat is that that is actually one of the things that we are thinking that we want to shrink our fat cells and or get rid of. We talk about it melting away. We talk about our percentage of body fat and wanting it to be lower than it is typically. Some of us actually need to go higher, but typically we're talking about when that we have extra stored energy, really is what it is. And the interesting thing about fat is that it's both a food and a nutrient, and our body holds on to it and stores it. It can be very complex to kind of unravel what it is that means and what's a good fat versus a bad fat. So as a food, fat gives our meals texture and flavor. It slows down the digestive system, helping us feel full longer, which is awesome. I mean, think about that. The experience of the food is better, and then the energy that we get from the food lasts longer. Like, that's awesome, right? Why would we not like that? As a nutrient, fat supplies energy and has important roles to the body, such as it has 9 calories per gram, whereas proteins and carbohydrates only have 4. So it's like it's a condensed energy source, which is wonderful. It also promotes healthy skin and normal growth of your cells. It acts as a partner with certain vitamins. Think vitamins A, D, E, K. So think of like your cardiovascular system, your skin, your immune system, your digestive system. All of that needs fats to carry those nutrients, those vitamins A, D, E, and K to the cells so the cells can use them, and then we can thrive and we can feel good and we can have energy and vitality and everything functions properly. Without proper healthy fats in our food, right? So like getting it in and being broken down and then our fat doing what it needs to do, we don't then get to absorb those vitamins, and then we suffer from that. And there's consequences. Fat as a nutrient also, it cushions vital organs such as the heart and the liver. In fact, every membrane of every cell is made up of these lipids, these fat parts. So when we eat this food as fat and it gets broken down, then our body gets to regenerate itself. So every cell, every system, every organ needs that replenishment. Otherwise, we don't feel so great and our cells they don't form as properly as they should. So fat is typically divided into 2 categories. There's saturated fats, which are typically like hard at room temperature. Think of like butter or margarine or like on bacon, right? Like when it's heated, it melts, but when it's in the fridge or room temperature, it's a solid fat. So the dairy products, cheese, things like that was saturated. And then there's unsaturated, which means that typically it's liquid at room temperature. So think of like vegetable oils, olive oils, um, other oils from nuts and seeds and avocados and things like that. And then, of course, there is cholesterol, but cholesterol is not really a fat, it's something different. So we're going to talk about that a different time. But what I did want to say is that, there's probably a hierarchy of the best fats being fats that just occur naturally, like in olives, avocados, things like that, nuts and seeds, right? That flow with and have also other vitamins and minerals and wonderful things that your body needs to function properly. It's like a whole condensed food, which is so wonderful. And then probably just underneath that is going to be your the oils that are then extracted from those nuts and seeds and olives and things like that. So I think that it's probably always best, like if we have a choice and we're like, I don't really know, probably the best way is to always go with real food, things that have grown in nature, that have a multiple and variety of vitamins and minerals and nutrients and enzymes and antioxidants and fiber and water and fat and protein and all kinds of cool stuff. Again, think the whole foods, nuts, seeds, avocados, olives, things of that nature. And then we got the oils. So that's an extraction. So it's a bit of processing. And then underneath that, which is like really actually on the no, never list, are trans fats. Now, trans fats do occur naturally in nature, very, very minutely. Like it's the tiniest little teeny weeny itty bit, like in some dairy products and things like that. But typically, a trans fat is when the food industry has found that the way in which our body breaks food down, specifically those wonderful fats, right? Like we hear about those, the omega-3s, the healthy fats, the fish oil, the avocados, the nuts and seeds, like all these things that your body really needs to get the fat to function properly so it can do all the things that we were just talking about as a nutrient inside of the body. What they found is that for a stable shelf life, meaning can sit on the grocery store shelf and or in your house on the shelf for an extended period of time for longer than a couple of days, We need to change the molecular structure of the fat because healthy fats tend to um, break down easily, which is good. That's what we want. I mean, think about the fat that you store on your body. You want it to break down easily. You don't want that stubborn fat. But when we're talking about food having a shelf life, the food industry does want that stubborn fat. They want it to be where it doesn't break down. And so what they do is they hydrogenate or partially hydrogenate, which means that the molecular structure of it has been changed. And it's been changed in such a way that it now has stability. And in that stability, then the things don't go bad on the shelf. It also gives food some flexibility without breaking. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Um, Tortillas. I don't know if you've ever had the like, gluten-free, healthy, nothing added to it, no trans fats kind of stuff, in tortillas that are in the fridge. I mean, they're amazing and they're wonderful, but again, they have to be refrigerated. There's no shelf life. And if you were to go to any of the tortillas that are on the shelf and they've been sitting there for days and weeks, and you open them up and they're still fresh, and then they hold together, they're like you can roll things in them and they don't break apart, then you're probably looking at a trans fat. Now, on the package, they can say zero trans fat if it's less than half a gram per serving. So you got to kind of actually look at the ingredient list and see if it's hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated or fractionated fats. I know that that can maybe seem a little bit overwhelming, but trans fats are so bad, ladies. I mean, think about it. If it's got a stable shelf life, what do you think it does once it gets inside your body? Your body doesn't know what to do with it. It can't break it down. So it stores it inside your fat cells, and then it becomes very stable inside of there. And it becomes very difficult then to lose, even when you're doing all the right stuff. Sometimes it can take an extraordinarily long amount of time and discipline to get rid of the same fat if it was actually healthy fat that your body knew what to do with, that was able to metabolize it properly. Trans fats, these are the hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, fractionated, interrestrified. There's lots of names for them. They get stuck inside your cardiovascular system. They clog things up. They get stuck inside your fat cells. They're a mess. They do not carry those vitamins A, D, E, K, CoQ10 to the places where it needs to go. It is a total mess. Again, we're going back to that really simple line. Like, if you want to know things about nutrition, I think Michael Pollan said it best: eat real food, not too much, lots of plants. Right? Because they just do. Fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and legumes, they just have everything that our body needs in its perfect right portion for us to be feeling good and looking good. And when we have things that are shelf stable, think of Twinkies and cookies and cakes and chips and crackers. I mean, not all of them. You can probably get all of those things with no weird added ingredients. But if you're just grabbing the ones from the big food industry places, the ones that we all kind of grew up eating, then you're probably going to end up with a bunch of crap inside of that that confuses the body. It starts sending weird signals and it doesn't really know what to do with this. And then it starts storing these like weird deformed fats, and it gets confused. Then we wonder why we don't feel good and why we have this stubborn fat, and we're not happy about that. So that is my tidbit about fats. Yes, there are some super gnarly fats in the world for sure. Typically, those ones also travel with, and because it's got a long shelf life. So actually, how I found out about that word interrestrified, which, like, what even is that? It's a trans fat, by the way. Um, it's a denatured, so they change where the hydrogen is in the molecule so that it is shelf stable. I found that out because I was actually at my brother's house, and his kid had this, like, and it said right on the box like zero trans fats, but it was like a shelf stable cupcake. I'm like, that can't be right. That can't. It's not possible. Real food goes bad. It's supposed to, right? Like you got to remember, we've got little bacteria that inside of our gut that are helping break stuff down. We've got our enzymes, we've got our stomach acid, we've got digestive enzymes in our mouth. Like we are also part of life. We are a living thing that needs to break food down to get the nutrients from it. And so if the bacteria and other things of life are not able to eat that and break it down, then we aren't either. Right? I mean, that kind of makes sense. And so I was like, how can there be a shelf stable, like doesn't go bad cupcake with no trans fats? So I started reading the ingredient list, and one of the ingredients was interrestrified fats. I'm like, what is that? That sounds super scary. And so I looked it up, and it's basically a trans fat. It's basically hydrogenated, but of course, it's something a little bit different. And so it's not considered the trans fat yet, but it sure is. So that's my little tidbit. Label reading, we'll definitely be talking more about that. Again, if that's super confusing and you're like, I just need to know exactly what to eat and I need some emotional support around this because this is overwhelming and confusing, drop me a note below. Click on my name and send me a private message. And let's get you going with this. So, fats are our friend. We need fats to cushion our joints. We need it for energy. We need it for texture. We need it for flavor. We need it for vitamins. We need it for the proper functioning and regeneration of healthy cell membranes. We need this, but we don't need a lot, right? We just need a little bit, just a little bit at each meal, some wonderful healthy fats. And then we'll get rid of all the package and process and trans fat crap, get that out of our body, and we'll be feeling good in no time. All right. I love you, ladies. And I hope that you're having a wonderful weekend. It's a holiday weekend here in the States. So hopefully you're enjoying that. And we'll talk to you soon.